Imagine you've been walking for 3 days. Your family is exhausted. The children are hungry. Then suddenly, a massive river appears in front of you. The water is freezing. The current is so strong it can sweep away trees. There are no bridges, no boats waiting on the shore, no maps, no rescue teams, and turning back could mean starvation. So what would you do? Here's the unbelievable part. Ancient humans crossed rivers like these thousands of years before bridges were ever built. They didn't have modern engineering, yet somehow they found ways to reach the other side and continue spreading across the world. Stay till the end, because the last survival trick will completely change how you think about ancient humans. By the end of this video, you'll understand how our ancestors turned one of nature's greatest obstacles into a challenge they could overcome. Picture yourself living nearly 40,000 years ago. Every day is a journey. You aren't traveling for adventure. You're searching for food, looking for safer land, following animals that your family depends on for survival. For days, everything goes according to plan. Then, you hear it, a loud rushing sound growing stronger with every step. Soon, trees begin to disappear, the ground slopes downward, and standing in front of you is a river wider than anything you've ever seen. It stretches from one side of the horizon to the other. The current roars like thunder. Cold water crashes against giant rocks. At first glance, it looks impossible, but standing still isn't an option. Your people must keep moving. Today, crossing a river feels ordinary. We drive across bridges without even thinking. Some rivers have ferries, others have highways stretching over them. Back then, none of that existed. Every crossing had to be solved from scratch. One wrong decision could cost lives. One careless step could pull someone into freezing water. For ancient humans, rivers weren't just beautiful landscapes. They were dangerous barriers, standing between survival and disaster. So what did they do? The first thing was surprisingly simple. They didn't rush. Imagine watching experienced members of your group carefully studying the river. Nobody jumps in immediately. Everyone waits. They look for calmer water. They search for narrow places where the river becomes easier to cross. They notice large rocks breaking the current. They pay attention to fallen trees stretching across smaller streams. Instead of fighting nature, they learn to read it. That patience often became their greatest survival tool. Now imagine walking along the riverbank for hours, maybe even an entire day. Some people become frustrated, others grow tired. But the experienced travelers know something important. Somewhere upstream or downstream, the river may become safer. A few extra hours of walking is far better than risking everyone's life in dangerous water. Ancient humans understood that survival wasn't about taking the fastest path. It was about choosing the smartest one. Eventually, the group finds a better crossing. The river is still powerful, but here, it spreads wider. The water moves more slowly. Large stones rise above the surface. They aren't a bridge, but they might help. One person carefully steps onto the first rock. Everyone watches. The rock doesn't move. Slowly, another step. Then each movement is cautious. One mistake could send someone into the rushing current below. This isn't bravery, it's careful planning. But not every river offered helpful rocks. Sometimes there were none. So ancient humans had to think differently. Imagine spotting a huge tree that had fallen during a storm. Its trunk stretches across part of the river. It's slippery, it's unstable, but it may be the safest option available. One by one, people carefully balance across. Some use long wooden sticks to steady themselves. Others help children move safely. The strongest members stay nearby, ready to help if someone slips. Crossing becomes a team effort. Nobody succeeds alone. Now think about something else. Not everyone in the group could move at the same speed. There were children, older adults, people carrying food, parents holding babies. Crossing a river wasn't only about getting yourself across. It was about making sure everyone reached the other side safely. That required patience, cooperation, and trust. If one person rushed ahead, the entire group could become separated. Ancient survival depended on staying together. The weather made everything even harder. Imagine arriving at the river after heavy rain. Yesterday's gentle stream has become a raging torrent. The current is stronger. The water is deeper. Branches race downstream. Crossing today could be deadly. So what do? You wait. Maybe for hours. Maybe for days. That choice might sound frustrating, but ancient humans knew something we often forget. Sometimes the safest decision is doing nothing at all. Waiting for better conditions could save an entire community. Of course, waiting created new problems. Food supplies became smaller. Children grew hungrier. Everyone worried about what lay ahead. The pressure to move became enormous. Yet rushing into danger rarely ended well. Every decision balanced risk against survival. Cross now, or wait and hope conditions improve. Neither choice was easy. Now imagine the water isn't just fast, it's freezing. The moment your foot enters the river, your entire body reacts. Your muscles tighten. Your breathing becomes harder. Every second in the cold drains your energy. Even strong swimmers would struggle. Ancient humans understood this without needing science to explain it. Cold water could weaken you long before you reach the opposite bank. That's That's why choosing the right crossing mattered so much. The safest river wasn't always the shortest one, and rivers held more than powerful currents. Hidden holes beneath the surface could trap your foot, slippery rocks could throw you off balance, floating logs might look stable until they suddenly rolled away. Every step demanded complete attention. Nature offered no warnings, only consequences. That is why experienced travelers became so valuable. They noticed dangers others missed. Their knowledge often meant the difference between life and death. As the group finally reaches the opposite bank, relief spreads across every face. Children smile again. Parents breathe easier. The hardest part seems over. But another question quickly appears. How many more rivers still lie ahead? And that's where the story becomes even more incredible. Crossing one river didn't mean the journey was over. Ancient humans were constantly on the move. They followed migrating animals. They searched for fresh water. They looked for better hunting grounds. Again and again, rivers stood in their way. Each crossing became another test of courage, patience, and intelligence. Over time, something remarkable happened. Every successful crossing taught a new lesson. Every mistake became valuable experience. Knowledge was becoming humanity's greatest survival tool. Imagine you're the youngest member of the group. This is the first major river you've ever seen. Everything feels terrifying. The rushing water sounds louder than anything you've ever heard. You look at the older members. None of them panic. Instead, they quietly begin preparing. One checks the shoreline. Another looks upstream. Others gather long branches that can be used for balance. Nobody wastes energy arguing. Everyone already understands their role. Watching them, you begin to realize something important. Survival isn't about never being afraid. It's about staying calm while everyone else is afraid. Now picture the strongest adults entering the water first. Not because they want the glory, but because they want to make the crossing safer for everyone behind them. If the current is too powerful, they'll know before the children enter. If hidden rocks lie beneath the surface, they'll find them first. If the water suddenly becomes too deep, they'll signal the group to stop. Every decision protects someone else. That kind of teamwork helped ancient humans survive challenges that would have been impossible alone. Sometimes, the river simply couldn't be crossed. Imagine reaching a river during the spring when melting snow from distant mountains has turned a peaceful stream into a roaring wall of water. The current is stronger than ever. Huge trees rush past. The sound is almost deafening. No one even suggests crossing. Instead, the group changes its plan. They travel along the river for miles, searching for another place. Maybe farther upstream, the water becomes shallow. Maybe downstream, the river splits into smaller channels. Ancient humans understood something that still matters today. Changing your plan isn't failure. Sometimes it's the smartest way to survive. Think about how much observation this required. Our ancestors paid attention to everything. They noticed where animals crossed rivers. If large animals safely crossed at a certain place, humans often knew it might be worth investigating. They watched birds flying between riverbanks. They studied how the water moved around rocks and fallen trees. Nature itself became their guide. Every day was another lesson. Every journey made them better travelers. But rivers offered more than danger. They also offered opportunity. Fish gathered in the water. Fresh drinking water was nearby. Animals often visited rivers to drink, making them excellent hunting locations. Plants growing along riverbanks could provide useful food and materials. In many ways, rivers became the lifelines of ancient landscapes. The same rivers that blocked their path also helped them survive. Ancient humans didn't simply fear rivers. They learned to respect them. Imagine sitting beside the fire after finally reaching the opposite bank. Everyone is exhausted. The children are asleep. Someone begins telling the story of today's crossing. The older people explain what went well. They point out mistakes that should never be repeated. The younger members listen carefully. These aren't just stories. They're survival lessons. One day, those children will lead their own families across rivers. The knowledge shared tonight may save lives many years later. That is how wisdom traveled long before books were ever written. Now compare that to life today. If we need to cross a river, we usually don't even think about it. We drive across a bridge in a few minutes. We rarely wonder how difficult crossing once was. But every bridge you see today solves a problem that humans have faced for tens of thousands of years. Long before engineers designed massive structures, our ancestors relied on observation, teamwork, patience, and courage. Those were the first bridges, not made of stone or steel, but built from human intelligence. Here's something even more amazing. The ability to solve problems like river crossings helped humans spread across the world. Without that determination, many regions might never have been explored. Each successful journey opened the door to new lands, new food sources, new opportunities. Little by little, ancient humans adapted to different environments, crossing rivers, valleys, forests, and mountains as they expanded into unfamiliar places. Their willingness to face natural obstacles shaped the history of our species. So, how did ancient humans cross rivers without bridges? They didn't rely on one magical trick. trick. They relied on careful thinking. They searched for safer crossing points. They waited when conditions were dangerous. They helped one another. They learned from experience. And above all, they refused to let fear stop them from moving forward. That may not sound dramatic at first, but it changed the course of human history. The next time you cross a bridge without giving it a second thought, remember the people who came before us. Imagine standing on a muddy riverbank with no map, no boat, and no guarantee of survival. Imagine choosing between turning back into hunger or stepping into unknown waters. Our ancestors made those choices again and again, not because they were fearless, but because the future of their families depended on it. If you've watched until now, you've discovered something incredible. Ancient humans didn't conquer rivers with machines. They conquered them with patience, observation, cooperation, and courage. The greatest survival tool they ever carried wasn't a weapon. It was the ability to think together. Perhaps that's the real secret of human survival. Our ancestors didn't build bridges first. They built trust, and that trust carried them across rivers and eventually across the world.